Hello and welcome to the Hoot Troop podcast. I am Matt O'Connor, and joining me as they do on all of our shows is my cousin Luke Drobner.
What's up, guys?
And my brother Mike O'Connor.
Back.
And we are back. We're back after a pretty long, very eventful postseason, off-season. I keep saying postseason. Good Lord. But we're back. Season starts in a little less than a week. So we're gearing up for next season. I know so much has happened in the off-season, and we'll probably touch on all of that as we do this, but we were going to do a little Hoop Troop preseason preview, or season preview, I guess. But we're going to go in, we're going to give our predictions on who we think is going to dominate both conferences, make the playoffs, win the championship, the whole thing, give some season award predictions too. And then we're going to bed because it's already 9:30 at night.
Luke, just for context, who did we say? How did we do last year? I forget if we revisited.
Yeah, Luke's going through our sheet, so we'll see.
Let me share the screen.
Yeah, for our YouTube viewers out there, I can go back in the tweets too and find. I know we tweeted it out.
We were bullish on the Bucks, if I remember. Oh
yes.
That didn't quite happen.
Wow.
I mean, they were the one. Man, we had the Warriors as the one seed. Good God.
Warriors, Nuggets. We were okay with the Nuggets. We were high on the Clippers.
Awful.
Grizzlies. Grizzlies was accurate.
We had the Dallas Mavericks making the play as the seventh seed. Miss. Look at who could have predicted the Sacramento Kings though.
Yeah, to go all the way up there. Yeah,
and Knicks at 10.
Interesting.
Knicks at 10 is rough.
A lot changed though. I mean, the Nets should have been.
This is the beginning of the year. We also did one
midway through. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, not much changed. We had the Denver Nuggets at 1. I mean, the Kings at 3. I guess we saw the Kings being good, and then we all had Jokic win MVP.
All right. So, with this in mind, how clearly wrong we were last season, how do we think we're going to do this year?
I think we'll do better. I think I
think we're doing worse. I think we're easily doing worse because this season I feel like we've definitely had parity the past couple of years in the NBA, and that's probably why there's been a different champion 5 years in a row, 4 years in a row, however long it's been. But now I think you could name 10 teams, close to 10 teams that realistically have a shot at winning the championship this coming season. I think you could make the case that there's like close to 10 teams that could win, legitimately have a shot at winning. I mean, there's clear front runners, but I think that there's other teams that are good enough. And if they make a move, why are you laughing at me?
I don't agree with 10.
Oh, all right. 10 might have been a slight exaggeration. I think there's more than 5.
I think there are like 4.
All right, whatever. Let's get into our predictions then. How do we want to do this? Do we want to each come through and do we want to start at 15 and say who we had there and work our way up?
Yeah, I like that.
So we want to start in the East because I feel like the East is minorly clearer than the West. The West is just a bloodbath, especially outside of the bottom 2.
Yeah. Who do you have coming at 15?
So I'll start us off. Coming at 15 in the Eastern Conference, it's pretty easy. It's the Charlotte Hornets. I think that's going to be one of the only ones we agree on.
I picked the Wizards.
Oh my God, Michael, no.
Are the Wizards just talent-wise just a little bit better? In all fairness,
I have them at 14, but no, the Charlotte Hornets are so bad. I mean, I know they just changed ownership. They have a very young team. They have no real leadership. They're going to offload those contracts in the middle of the season. Like Gordon Hayward's gone, Rozier's gone. You're going to see just weird stuff like that. I do think they have a few good young players like LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Mark Williams was solid to end the year when he started getting starter minutes. Like they're not that bad, but they're not good, and they're going to be just a bad young team. That's how I look at it.
I want to put the Hornets at 15 as well.
All right, you're overruled, Michael. Put the Hornets at 15.
Okay, but I guess at 14, I think it's clearly the Wizards.
Yeah.
To me, when I was making my crucial 14 versus 15 seed decision, was saying like the Charlotte Hornets are a bad young team, but they're bad because they're young. the Wizards, what's the direction? There's no direction. And the Jordan Poole thing last night kind of highlights that. Like, what the hell are they?
Going for 41. Yeah. I mean, it is preseason. It's hard to read into. Luke, I know you're happy because you reached super hard for him in our fantasy league, but
did I reach super hard for him?
I think you took him in the. Didn't you take him to the third? Did you take him to the third or fourth?
My first pick was Giannis. My second and third picks were Mikal Bridges and Jordan Poole, I think.
That is a reach.
That is not a reach. He's going to average 30 a game this year.
Yeah, field goal percentage is going to be rough.
We're not counting field goal percentage. 3-pointers mid.
I get he might be a good fantasy player, but that team's going to suck. I mean, they have
stats, baby. It's about stats.
Yeah, but I mean, like they had again solid pieces that I think if you put them on other teams, they'd be okay. It's just not a good fit. Like they just don't work. And like I look at that team and I think about, all right, they plucked Rui, the Lakers last year, and he had a pretty good postseason run. Like I do think all of them in the right setting have a place in the league. All of them on one team, not good. 14 in the East.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, especially just like offloading Beal. You think about the Wizards. Where do they go? What's their plan for the future? Who are they building around? What's their core, right? And you think about guys, like you said, that could be good on championship teams. That's what they want, right? You get a 2029 first from a championship contender. That could be a high pick later. And if you build around the right young core, let's say you really believe in Kuzma and Poole and guys like that, and you offload some of the guys around them. You never know. I think they've done a great job offloading Beal, trying to get as much as they can for what they had.
I do think that the Beal return was good, and this is probably a good opportunity to talk about it, just because we obviously missed that in the offseason. It was going to be limited with the no trade clause. They couldn't get much back, so I actually think they did okay there. And I do think, again, it really depends on what they do now with some of those contracts that you just mentioned, because they could flip those to become other picks or other assets or things like that realistically, they're not on their timeline of their rebuild, but they can navigate this in a way where they can come out on top. It's just going to be a real walk the tightrope.
100%.
All right. Who wants to lead with who they have at 13? Because I don't want to spend too much time talking about the garbage teams.
13's hard. I feel like
this is when
7 through 13 in the East is tough.
Yeah, this is when everything got weird. Yeah.
I sadly and regretfully have Detroit here because I think
I did the same.
But they're going to be noticeably better.
I agree. I think there's a huge jump from 14 to 13. The reason I did the Pistons is the same thing we were kind of saying about the Hornets, except a much better version in that they're a good young team. They're going to make a ton of mistakes and like they're going to hit road bumps and stuff, but they have a good mix of vets and young guys, all of which with something to prove. Cade coming back can be potentially a most improved player. I'll save that for when it's time. But Ivy in his second year, you bring in, now I'm forgetting which Thompson, but they brought in one of the Thompsons in the draft. Like you have a lot of good young players. Killian Hayes has been fine. He was better last year. Like all these guys are showing improvement. They have 3 or 4 young centers on that team, all of which have shown flashes that they could be good. So I think they have a good core. I just don't think they're as good as the rest of the teams in the East.
I think very similar where we just talked about Washington moving some of their contracts. I'd be interested to see where Bojan Bogdanovic ends the year. Is it in a Detroit Pistons uniform? And we talk about they have a lot of centers. I think they really believe in Durant. But they also have Bagley and Wiseman on that roster. And where do those guys end up? So.
Right, exactly. And so I do think that they're going to be good enough to tread water. Maybe they'll surprise us. I mean, I don't think they're a play-in team, but would I be shocked if May rolls around and we're seeing them in the play-in? No, I genuinely would not be surprised by it because they do have the potential to get there. Some of these guys could all jump, but as of right now, I just think the other teams are a little better.
Fair enough.
So Luke, did you also have him at 13?
No, I didn't.
No.
But that's like no bias. Jaden Ivey, Purdue legend.
Where'd you have him? I'm curious.
I had him close. I had him at 11.
Yeah. And again, I had a little trouble with it because I feel like the 2 other teams here at 11 and 12 that I had are definitely a toss-up with Detroit. At 12, I'll continue just going first, but at 12, I had the Orlando Magic.
Me too.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Luke? No?
I had the Magic making the play-in.
Ooh, okay. I kind of like that. That's fun.
I have the Toronto Raptors here. I don't think they really have a direction.
Wow.
I think you're going to see a lot of turmoil at the deadline.
I
Damn.
disagree.
Wow.
New coach, and I don't think their coach is a championship coach. I think he's a player development coach, and I think that's something worth noting.
Yeah, maybe. But that could also just energize the roster. I mean, they do have. There's a reason that so many of those players were so all off season involved in trade talks. Like, I mean, so many of those people are desired, and so put them all on one team. It's kind of like how I was talking about the Wizards being a weird collection of parts that could be okay everywhere.
Sure.
Toronto is a good collection of parts that should make sense in one place and has in the past. They've been good. So I think they can. And I'll wait until I have them sneaky up there. So I'll wait. But yeah, at 12, I think the Orlando Magic, to hit on them, since it seems like the consensus is we're going to put them down here.
But I will say my Orlando pick here was tough.
Yeah,
I struggled with it because I can totally see Orlando being in the play-in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that again, another good team of young players. That them and the Pistons to me are kind of interchangeable. I think they're pretty much on a similar trajectory where they have a lot of good young players, some vets in there, not quite over the hump of like really competing for much, but again, would not surprise me if they make the play-in. So just kind of waiting and seeing what it looks like again this year. The other team I have here, and that is 11, and Luke, I'm assuming this is one of the teams that you had low here. The Brooklyn Nets. At 11? Wow, no Brooklyn?
I did not have the Nets at 11.
Luke, wow, okay, so no one else agrees with me.
I'm Brooklyn at 10.
Okay, so close.
I have the Bulls at 11.
Wow. I mean, I get it.
Talk about a team with no direction. Truly. Yeah. What are they fighting for? I don't understand.
But they're another one that, kind of the way I look at Toronto, but worse, is just like they have enough good players on that team that they're going to win games. They just are.
They have no depth.
And if they decide to, if they did blow it up, if they actually finally commit and they're like, we're trading Levine for a reasonable asking price, you're probably keeping Vucevic, which whatever. Like, I don't think
they extended him.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone is necessarily going to shell out assets to go pull him in. I don't think he's that big of a differentiator. No. DeRozan, you could probably get some stuff. Again, it depends who they decide to trade and for what. But yeah, I get why you have them low. I had them at 10. So same thing, flip-floppy. Luke, who did you have at 11?
I had the Pistons.
Right. Okay. So who do we want to stick here? Because I had, again, similarly interchangeable feel, Chicago Bulls and Brooklyn Nets at 10 and 11. I don't know if you guys want to break that tie.
Did you have 11, Mike? Chicago.
So Matthew, that means we both have the Pacers at 9. Has to be, unless you have them sneaky higher than that.
I do have the Pacers at 9.
So do I.
Yeah.
So who are we putting at 11?
So I have the Bulls there, and then the Nets.
I'm cool with the Bulls at 11. Because that was another one. I do think that
we're throwing in Brooklyn Nets right here.
Brooklyn Nets is 10, right? I think we all kind of agree that this is like that weird tier. But the Nets have better pieces.
The difference between the Nets and the Bulls to me is the top level talent.
Yeah.
On the rosters, right? You think about Mikal Bridges, amazing end of the season last year. He plays every game.
And a full season and a training camp in that new system now. And
or even like think about a team who game plans. We know what the Brooklyn Nets look like. We know Mikal Bridges is going to take shots, right? They're going to game plan for that. People have been game planning for this DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic
right.
combo.
There's no change.
Right. And we've seen them be a play-in team. And that's why I had the Chicago Bulls ahead of them.
I think we're going to see you have Chicago ahead.
No, sorry, but
behind. Yeah. See, yeah. I also think Billy Donovan could get fired.
I think he could too. The Bulls have no depth outside of Levine, DeRozan, and Caruso, Vucevic. They really don't have anybody. They have 4, maybe 5 guys. So at least Brooklyn.
Who's the Nets starting 5?
Dinwiddie, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Ben Simmons. I don't know who they have. It's Claxton.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty weird too. Like, do I
Spacing wise, it's tough.
Yeah, it's a weird team, but I think they're going to be very good defensively. Brooklyn, I mean, between alone, and let's take the offense and consistency aside, Ben Simmons has proven he can be, if not a defensive player of the year, up there in all defensive team. Nick Claxton last season was towards the top of the league in blocks. Bridges has been, again, another one who's proving who he can be a consistent all defensive player. But then you have other guys who are good. Like Royce O'Neal is on that team, I believe. Like
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Right, you have other guys who are good defensively. They're not the deepest. They don't obviously have that star, but like Cam Johnson, good. Like there's so many guys down this roster where I'm like, ooh, okay. Like I actually get it. I get what they're doing.
Also, again, one of those teams I could see making a move at the deadline, but at the same time kind of holding on to their guys. It's like, is this the right time to trade that guy?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
Right. All right.
Especially in a big market, you're going to sell jerseys, you're going to make money, so there's really no rush.
Right. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move up. Michael, I know we both said we had the Pacers at 9. Luke, how do you feel about that?
I had the Pacers at 8.
Yeah. I feel like they're definitely in this range.
You're going to be so wrong about this.
The Pacers looked really good for a while, and I'm really excited about what they're building. I think
to be honest with you, I originally had them at 7, and then I was like, there's no way they're fighting to be out of the play-in altogether. Like, they're going to be good. Because I do think, again, they have consistency. They brought a lot of guys back, and all those guys, I think a lot of teams would be lining up to say, trade me those guys. Because they have some winners on their team. Halliburton has another year under his belt. Team USA, everything. You bring in Obi Toppin, they finally have a power forward. And I do think Obi...
They drafted Jarris Walker, too, who I think fits well in their system.
Right. So they also had a good draft, and like he can kind of grow now. I'm assuming he's going to be a backup, but still, like they're deep. Mathurin is great.
My concern is, do they win close games? They're down 5 in last 4 minutes of the fourth. Who's taking those shots? Right? Do they have a tough shot maker? I think Halliburton's great.
Yeah,
but is he going to create for himself? No. I think he's got a little bit of a step back, and I think he's got a good pick and roll transition type thing. I think they're going to play fast. I think they're going to look a lot like the Kings, but is Halliburton as good as Fox? And Fox was one of the best clutch time players last year. So
yeah, no, I mean I totally get it. So all right, let's put the Pacers at 9.
The Bruce Brown pickup, I forget. Did you say that?
No, I didn't. But that's again a good point. I mean, I do. I think they're very deep. And they have a similar mix of young guys and vets, but they're a little further along. So I do. I think they're good. I think they're definitely in the play-in, and I do think there's a chance they make it out of the play-in, depending on how the season goes.
I kind of feel that we kind of have to put here the Heat or the Raptors here.
Yes, Luke. Yes. I was so afraid that everyone was going to make fun of me. I have the Heat at 8. I think they got worse.
I have Atlanta at 8.
So I'm going to make the case for why I think the Heat drop. They obviously kept their top guys. They still have Jimmy. They still have Bam. They still have Hero, Duncan Robinson, Lowry. They have some of their core from last year. And Kevin Love, I guess. But the guys who really carried them in the postseason were Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. They still have Cody Martin or Caleb Martin.
Yeah, they still have Cody. They have Cody.
So they're in a weird, now that they didn't trade for Dame, they're in a weird spot where they didn't add anyone in the offseason. They lost guys. And like the only additions they really have are they're probably going to ask Nikola Jovic to play more. And then they brought in through the draft Tommy Hawkes, who did look good in preseason. But that's it. They really didn't make any other changes.
I think there's going to be guys who step up off their bench too, right? Who was Max Strus? Who was Gabe Vincent? Or who were these guys? They made a name for themselves on the Heat, and they'll continue to find those types of players. So.
Right. So who did you guys have at 8? Because I know I jumped in and just kind of threw that out there with the Heat.
My list is pretty messed up now. I had Pacers.
Where do you have the Heat? Out of curiosity.
I have them next at 7.
Okay. Michael, who do you have at 8?
Atlanta.
Oh boy, I have it. I had Atlanta really high, and then I had to drop them down.
So we had to vote.
Well, where do you have? I have Atlanta at 6. And then the Raptors at 7 and the Heat at 8.
I have the Heat at 6, Raptors at 7, Atlanta 8.
Sounds like the Raptors might be the low man here.
Luke, I had the Raptors way down. So
all right, let's put the Raptors. Let's put the Raptors.
I can't believe the Raptors just caught a stray here.
No, but so Luke had him way lower. And then,
I didn't even have him making the play-in.
I think we all kind of agree the Heat are here. Yeah.
Sure. But then I'm super uncomfortable with the fact that Atlanta somehow is safely making the playoffs. I just doubt
Trae Young revenge season.
No.
So full season of Quinn Snyder after a full training camp. One really cool thing that they've been doing, which is long overdue, is they're finally using Trae Young kind of like Steph, where they're putting him in motion and having him off ball instead of just being like the ball handling step back 3-point shooter. And I think that frees them up to do a lot more. And he's like he's actually one of the better in the league catch and shoot 3-point shooters. So having him in that motion and getting him in those spots actually helps the team. So I think DeJounte Murray might be more of the lead ball handler now and playmaker, and he's going to be used as more of a slasher scorer. The John Collins saga is finally over, and like I just think that's one less thing to worry about in the locker room. And I think they're going to be pretty good. So I'm comfortable with them at 6.
I had Atlanta here at 6. So
okay, cool. Luke, we agree.
That was a compelling and like it almost feels like that was written.
No, that was just a Hawks soliloquy.
It was.
Yeah. It was. So
not many of those.
Now there's not many, and I can't believe it's coming from me. I hate the Hawks. But now I'm gonna spoil the remainder of my list because it is kind of dumb. I have the exact same 1 through 5 as last season. The exact same.
Standings?
Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Cavs. Right? The Bucks were the 1? Yeah.
I don't remember. I think so.
Yeah. Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Cavs, Knicks. That is, I think the Knicks don't make a step because they're the same team. They're going to change something.
We added DiVincenzo.
To be honest with you, I almost put the Knicks in the play-in because it was just that I thought everyone else kind of got worse. I had the Hawks originally above the Knicks and then was like, that's kind
every other year with Julius Randle.
Yeah, I do think they're going to take a step back. Or
I have the Knicks here at 5.
Yeah.
I think another factor, I have the Knicks at 5, and I think another factor is the Knicks games played. I feel like our top people play the most games.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of Tibbs.
Yeah, it's a Tibbs thing. And big minutes in those games. Who do you guys have at 4?
Cavs.
I have the Cavs, but it wasn't easy. I thought about putting the Pistons there.
Oh, wow. So we're all pretty close. All right. So let's slap Cleveland in 4. Same thing, continuity. They got a little better, added a few other wing guys that I think that was kind of their weakness. So like Max Strus, for example, how I just shat on the Heat for letting him walk. Like he's going to be a big piece for them.
Yeah, I'm very, very concerned about the Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah, I think the Cavs and the 3 and the 4, I was like, either one doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because the Harden saga, I think there's a bad.
So I think if he shows up and plays, they're going to be what they were last year. Like I think they're just going to pick that up. If he gets traded, there's a chance they could be better. They could be better. They could be deeper. They could get other parts. They could make a second trade. So I still think as long as Embiid is there and Maxey, you have a core. Like you have guys. Like even, I mean, God, Tobias Harris. I
think even if Harden doesn't show up, and they roll with Maxey, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, and Embiid line up with whoever at the shooting guard spot, I think that also does them well. I like the reason why I have them at 3 is I think their starting 5 is better than the Cavs, even if Harden doesn't show up.
I think it's enough for regular season wins. I don't think it's enough for postseason wins. So they're a huge candidate for me that like they have a high seed and they lose in the first round.
I want to see how much Embiid can put on him. How many games is he going to miss this season?
All right. So let's slap Philly at 3. Now, since none of you jumped at my exact same 1 through 5 order, I'm assuming you both have Boston at 1 and the Bucks at 2.
I have Boston at 1.
So do I.
All right. So we disagree. So put Boston at 1 and the Bucks at 2. Again, this was impossible to pick. because both of those teams are so good.
I think the Celtics are going to absolutely destroy the regular season.
They are not deep. One, granted, the Bucks aren't either, so they're not durable. They have a lot of guys who get hurt a lot, and they're asking a lot of an old Al Horford, which I don't love.
Al Horford's coming off the bench now, right? They're starting five is Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis.
And then Horford comes off the bench. Pritchard comes off the bench.
I don't think Pritchard is a bad option off the bench at guard.
No.
But defensively, they're elite, right? Point of attack, Derek White, Drew Holiday doesn't get better. When you think about their back line, Kristaps Porzingis is going to clean up. Is he an elite rim protector? I don't think so, but he's going to do enough for them, especially when you think about their wing defenders like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are both exceptional defenders, despite the fact that they don't have that reputation because they're scoring threats first.
My thing is both of these teams are structured very similarly. Like that's the weird thing about these teams. The only variable is if you would consider Chris Middleton and Jaylen Brown comps. But if you go from the top down, you have Dame and Drew. So two, I'm going to put them in the elite to great category of point guards.
Sure.
Then you go either 2, 3, however you want to look at Jaylen Brown and Chris Middleton. I don't know who necessarily plays that other wing. It's probably Malik Beasley for the Bucks. So kind of how you listed Derek White, that's probably a win for the Celtics. But then you have Giannis and Tatum. I think that skews to Giannis. And then at center, it's going to be Porzingis and Brook Lopez who essentially do the thing. They're structured so similarly. And then they have Bobby Portis coming off the bench, and as opposed to Al Horford, and Pat Connaughton and guys like that fill the Pritchard role, and maybe a Jay Crowder and whoever the hell else is on.
I don't think the Bucks have a backup ball handler. I think that's their biggest issue.
They signed,
right?
They signed Campaign. They signed Campaign, and again, he was good on that one Phoenix run, but then he kind of fell off. So I don't necessarily want to hitch my.
I'm a little concerned with Campaign.
Yeah. But the same thing for the Celtics. I think that there's definitely a drop off. I mean, like,
they have that backup point guard.
Yes, that's the thing. They do have that secondary ball handler. All right, so we agree on this now. So we have our Eastern Conference, and again, in the interest of time, I'm going to speed us along to the West. Want to start at the bottom again?
Sure.
All right. I have, and this one was the easiest one of everything I've had to do, the Houston Rockets.
No.
Oh, shit.
Portland Trailblazers.
I like Portland more than I like Houston. No. I actually want to go to a haunted house.
A rookie point guard, a second-year shooting guard, and DeAndre Ayton, who we have no idea what he's going to look like without.
I think Jeremy Grant and Ayton are better than anyone on the Rockets.
Jeremy Grant is tankathon legend. He's never played important minutes for a good team. The best minutes he ever played were on those Denver Nuggets teams. Okay. And Jamal Murray was injured for one of those years. He got traded for Aaron Gordon, right? And Aaron Gordon was a huge factor in them winning a championship.
Fine. So I lose this one. We're putting Portland at 15.
Clearly Portland.
Time Lord. No, they have guys that are very good. I think they're going to surprise you guys. We're going to come back and listen to this episode, and I'm going to be like, I told you so.
Unless Robert Williams is going to start shooting threes.
Yeah. All right. Is Houston 14 for you guys then? Oh my God.
You have San Antonio at 13? At 14?
Yes, I have San Antonio at 13.
I have San Antonio at 14.
They are going to win games on Wemby alone. Luke, why are you shaking your head?
I have San Antonio at 10.
Oh my God. I wouldn't be surprised because if Wemby's that good, he could do it.
Alden Johnson's not bad. I think Devin Vassell just got a max contract and he's feeling good. Wemby's going to have a huge impact.
Keldon Johnson's good. I mean, they do have, and they have Trey Jones, point guard. They have a few guys. All right. So Luke, who do you have 14?
Rockets.
All right. Slap the Rockets down. I finally win. And then Michael, you also had San Antonio at 13?
I had San Antonio at 14 and I had Houston at 13.
Okay. So again, similar. We generally, other than Luke having San Antonio at 10, agree that the Spurs are down here. So Luke, you're getting overridden. Put San Antonio at 13. But I agree with you. They have the potential to jump up. Because and I want to talk about the two teams I have ahead of them. Yeah, go, Michael.
I just, before we leave Houston.
Oh my God.
I think the Ime Udoka effect is in play also.
Yeah, and they brought in Fred VanVleet, and it's like an actual floor general and leader that they didn't have before. Like you have yes, fine.
So but anyway, that was all. That is all.
Same. They're kind of the same thing. They're another one of those good young teams, but like I still think they don't quite have the direction. So, all right. Next up, and I didn't love this, but I did the Utah Jazz. Did you guys go Dallas?
Utah Jazz here.
Did you go? Yeah. Did you go Dallas, Michael?
Pelicans.
No.
I can see that though.
I mean, yes, Utah? But this is kind of what I meant by the West is a little bit of a bloodbath. I don't really know. It's so hard to evaluate these teams because the Jazz were good last year, but I just think everyone else got better and they kind of stayed the same. I know they brought in John Collins, but
the Jazz were good when nobody really knew who Lauri Markkanen was, when he was averaging like 27 a game, and I think they kind of fell off towards the end of the year.
Yeah, but like I could see Walker Kessler making a jump, or Kessler Walker, Walker Kessler. I was right the first time. I'm tired.
I'm interested to see how they can get all of these bigs on the floor together, right? Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, Walker Kessler, Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
And I mean, they do have wings and whatnot, but
I'm also intrigued if I heard rumors they were trying to trade Sexton. Like it's going to be weird. It's definitely going to be a weird team.
They're still trying to figure out their direction. They haven't had a number 1, 2, 3 pick yet. So I think there's going to be some movement and we'll see some guys get rested and things like that. So I think they'll look like a playing team when they're actually playing, but how long are they actually going to be playing?
Right. Okay. So we agree with the Jazz. Next up is anyone want to volunteer? I already hinted at mine.
I had the Pelicans at 12, so I think I would put the Pelicans here. But
okay. I have the Dallas Mavericks here. I think that team is bad. And I think it's Luka and if Kyrie shows up, keeping them afloat. But everyone else on that team is not good. They're flat out not good at basketball. Like this team, if you they have a top 5 player in the NBA, a top 20 player in the NBA if he shows up, and no one else. They're bad. And so if it starts ugly and Kyrie gets upset, he's going to ask for the trade to the Lakers. They have the D'Angelo Russell contract. They're going to flip back. I already see it happening, but I don't believe in Dallas. I really don't. I think they're bad.
I have Dallas here as well.
Yeah, I think they're bad. I think they're missing out on the play-in entirely. Disgruntled Luka narrative starts midway through the season.
Go New York, baby.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think you'll demand a trade yet, but maybe. The rumblings are definitely going to start. So put the Dallas Mavericks at 11. And then, Michael, finally, I'll join you because I had them here. The New Orleans Pelicans at 10. Luke, did you have them at 10? No, you're the Spurs.
No, the Spurs.
Where'd you have the Pelicans?
I have the Pelicans at 8.
Okay. They're another one that they were, before Zion got hurt last year, like number 2 in the West, number 1 in the West. And so if they're healthy, I mean, I think I was listening to a podcast that said CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion haven't even played a full game, not even full 48 minutes together yet.
I think they're like the Brooklyn Nets from when they had Harden, Kyrie, and KD, and none of them could stay on the floor together.
Yeah.
I think they always have 2 or 1, but...
Right. And so this season finally seems like there's way more of a chance of that happening. So I like the Pelicans, but again, it's too much of a variable. We've seen this happen now a few years, so I can't buy in until I really see it. So they're at 10. I think they're a playing team with a chance to be more. But this is a weird one where they're really good top to bottom, just no one plays. All right. 9. Who do we got?
I have the Memphis Grizzlies here at 9.
I have the Memphis Grizzlies at 8, but struggled with it.
Wow.
Michael?
Wow, I'm so off.
No, but the West is so hard to predict that I don't think you're off. Yeah.
I have the Thunder here.
I had the Thunder here too. And I was struggling between them and the Grizzlies, but I do think the Grizzlies, again, more vets. And like, even though they don't have Ja for half the season, he's going to be back for 25 games or whatever it is. Like, he's going to be back for the majority of the season. I think I was putting too much stress on that, but that's why I put them at 8 and the Thunder at 9.
This is my thinking about the Grizzlies. Last year, Ja Morant missed a lot of time, and they were very good without Ja Morant. Why was that? One, they had Tyus Jones, who's no longer on the team. Tyus Jones is an incredibly underrated player. Doesn't turn the ball over, cashes in on a lot of assists, makes the teammates around him better. Lost him. Huge loss. Another huge loss. Dillon Brooks. Sure, he did all that talking, and we can hate on him and all that. He's a starting level, small forward, shooting guard, wing, whatever you want to call it, in this league.
Mm-hmm.
I also think he brings the vibes. He's hyping up the Houston Rockets. He's in that locker room. He's doing his little dance.
But
huge part.
My counter to that is they brought in Marcus Smart, who I think undeniably all three of us would say I would rather have Marcus Smart than Dillon Brooks. I would rather have Marcus Smart than Dillon Brooks.
I would rather have Marcus Smart than Dillon Brooks. Does Marcus Smart want to be in Memphis?
I'm sure he does. I mean, I'm sure he wanted to be in Boston. I think he was upset when he got traded, but like, why wouldn't he? It's a really good fit for him. They're a defensive-oriented team. He can be the leader he wants to be. Apparently the growing pains in Boston were the fact that he felt like he was involved in a big three with Tatum and Brown, and no one else really saw that. In Memphis, he's kind of the leader on the team, and I don't think anyone would really question it.
I'm embarrassed to mention this. I had Memphis at 5, so I'm now like scrambling.
I don't think it's that.
I don't think it's that bad.
No, I think Memphis.
They were 2 in the West last year.
They're gonna hold their own, and then when Ja gets back, they're just gonna be really good and solid.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
My last point about the Grizzlies is Jaren Jackson's coming off an awful FIBA tournament.
Yeah.
He is being harassed on the internet.
I know.
I think it's going to carry over into the season. He couldn't grab a rebound, and it's going to continue.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's put Memphis at 8 since Luke and I agree. Moving up to 7. Timberwolves?
I have the Timberwolves here.
Hell yeah.
I had Golden State.
Ooh. I was a little higher on Golden State, so I'll wait.
So I'm outnumbered here.
You're outnumbered, so we are going to put the T-Wolves in here. But, Luke, let's give our case for the Timberwolves, because then we'll talk about the Warriors when we do plug them in, Michael. We'll wait. But I get why they're low for you. This next few, so like from the Timberwolves up a little bit, I really had trouble. My reasoning here is we didn't get to see really if the Cat Gobert experiment works. And so as much as I think Ant is a lot better than he was last year, like he had a good showing for Team USA and FIBA, I think Conley is a big upgrade for what they needed in that locker room compared to D'Lo to start the year. So I do think they're going to be a good team. We have no idea what that front court's going to look like. If it's bad, they can't be higher than 7. I think they have good enough pieces in there, but like I just think there's going to be growing pains still. And so that's what's going to hold them back.
I guess I'm feeling like Anthony Edwards is going to be first team All-NBA. Like I'm feeling like it's going to happen.
I don't think he's going to be that.
I can see that.
Second team, I think realistically, actually, it's probably second team All-NBA. It's time, which is why.
But again, it's contingent on him making that jump. Like he really has to show that he can be consistent.
I think he can score 30 a game.
But it's not about the scoring to me.
It is about the scoring. He plays shooting guard.
Right, but I'm saying defensively, like as a leader, he needs to come in and really show, all right, this is my team, I'm taking over. I can be the guy who can go win us games when it matters. And I don't know that he is. He hasn't necessarily shown that jump of like, kind of like you were, I forget which team you were talking about in context. It was the Pacers. Like who's going to be that? But who's going to be that game? Who's going to be that guy at the end of games who's like, give me the ball, I'm going to go win us this game. And it's him. It has to be him, but he has to prove that it is him. He has to go and win them games. He does, you know? And so until he does that, they're 7 to me.
My thing with the Pacers is like, you give Halliburton the ball. Does he have the ability to create his own shot? I don't believe in it. When it comes to the Timberwolves,
I don't want to equate them either. I think Ant is better than Halliburton, but
I think they're different players.
Right, but I think they're in similar roles on their teams and that they kind of have to be the leaders. Like those guys.
Whereas when I put the ball in Ant's hand, I firmly believe that he can create for himself. Whether or not the shot goes down, whether or not he's taking over games, he can hit that shot. Take this ball, get me a bucket, and I can say it'll be better for my team than not. That's the difference. But it's also like we had the Pacers in the East at 9, and here we are putting the Timberwolves at 7 in the West. The West is way harder. And I do think the Timberwolves need to move on from Towns. I think they need to get a little smaller. I think they need to move Towns for a forward of some type.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's going to be Julius Randle, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm very afraid about that too.
I don't want Cat. I think Cat's an albatross contract. I think he's great. Don't get me wrong. Like, there aren't players like him. He's definitely in that unicorn category, but my lord, that contract is horrible.
I feel like it's been evident a lot, and he's apparently widely known as like a very nice person. Yeah. But are not very fond. He's not a popular guy with his teammates, I feel like.
He's a lot like Russell Wilson.
I think that's it. Like, I do think that narrative is changing a little bit. I think it was more when he was younger, people didn't like it, and now that he's maturing a bit, I think he's kind of growing into what he needs to be for a team. But yeah, I think the Russell Wilson comp is exactly why people didn't like him. All right. Anyway, who do we have at 6?
I have Golden State. I almost agreed with Mike here. I don't think Chris Paul is going to work out as great as they want him to.
All right, so I'll get overridden here. I had the Warriors at 5, but I get why you'd have him at 6. I think they're good enough with Steph. I think Clay, another full offseason for Clay, getting healthy, getting back into it.
What does Draymond look like?
Wiggins not only playing like 20 games in the season. I mean, I know he's away for like family stuff in the middle of the year. Like, if he's there for a full season, like, he was an all-star. Like, so I do think they have enough talent there. Chris Paul is no slouch, especially as whatever this other role he's going to be in. Like, I do think they're going to be really good, and I think they will avoid the play-in just because they don't quite have the uncertainty that a lot of those teams below them have. But they are muddled. I wouldn't be surprised if they're the 10. Like, I really do think that there's a chance it goes wrong and the chemistry's bad and they don't gel. That said, I think they are good enough to be 6. And I had them at 5, so 6 works for me.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't get it out of my head, and I shouldn't. They got out physicaled. I wish I said it with proper grammar.
Yeah, they're not big. They're not big.
Got crushed by the Lakers in the playoffs, and the playoffs is different than the regular season.
Right.
But they're just going to get pounded, I think.
Right.
And then I'm not counting on both Clay and Chris Paul staying healthy for the whole.
I think that's a good segue into who I had at 6, but I'm assuming you guys have at 5, the Clippers.
I have the Clippers.
Yeah. I had them at 6 with the Warriors at 5, kind of for the same reasoning. It's hard to read into this team. They never really play. They could be great. They could be terrible. But they're going to be good enough to tread water and make the playoffs is kind of my thought.
They 100% are. We're going to see the same exact Clippers team we saw this year.
Right.
Kawhi and Paul George, they're both going to play like 50 to 60 games. You're going to see some guys off their bench step up, and you're going to be like, how did they, manage to float? And they will.
Yeah. That's all right. Cool. So I think we're all agreed there. Let's I feel like not much has changed. Maybe they trade for Harden, but even then I still am not that high on them. So I'm leaving them at 5. 4. This is kind of where it gets a little fun because I feel like you can make the case for almost every team that's left here. I went with the Kings.
I went with the Lakers.
I have the Suns.
Wow. See, that's what I mean. You could make.
I have the Suns at 3.
I had the Suns at 2.
That's amazing because we both have the Kings at 2. Which Luke?
I have the Kings at 1.
Wow.
Holy crap!
I have Sacramento at 2.
All right, so we can't put Sacramento down this low. You had the Lakers at 4.
Luke, that's sick.
Wait, so where
I got Sacramento, Denver, Phoenix, Lakers.
And I had Phoenix 4, Lakers 3, Kings 2, Denver 1.
I had Denver 1, Suns 2, Lakers 3, Kings 4. So let's go to make this fair, since it does seem like we're generally jumbled. It seems like the consistent low team is the Lakers. So let's slap them at 4. Right? Then it really is. I feel like the only team that we consistently have at the top is the Nuggets. So I feel like they're the 1. Right? Where each of us had them either 1 or 2.
You guys both had Suns at 2? No.
I had the Suns at 2. Michael had them at 4. You had them at 3?
I had them at 3.
So that averages to 3, but then
left? There was a number 1 vote for Sacramento and a number 2, so
yeah, so Sacramento at 2. Wow, that did not shape out like I thought it was gonna.
I think Denver got a little worse. Coming off a championship year, they're not going to be as motivated to absolutely destroy the regular season.
Yeah. I do think, a full healthy season of Jamal Murray is a good thing. They've gotten a taste for the postseasons. They might not be as motivated to be the one. I agree with that.
Who's their backup point guard? Reggie Jackson. They lost Bruce Brown.
Jeff
Green's gone.
That's kind of the other thing, is they're going to ask a lot of their young guys. Like Christian Brown is going to need to come and play. Like he's going to have
Najee's going to need to come and play, right? Like they have question marks.
I mean,
I think Jokic is exceptional, and he's going to carry them the way he's carried teams in the past, right? He's brought absolutely garbage to the playoffs before.
Right. I do agree with. I think they are mildly worse. I just think let's look at and again, it's more a playoff thing, and I know we're going to do predictions of who, wins the championship, whatever. A lot of the arms race this summer didn't address the fact that he is pretty damn unstoppable. No one really added just a ton of big men and like conducive to stopping him or their system.
Yeah.
So
it's the idea, like, he's going to put up 30, 10, and 10 on whoever you put there. You can pay the best center in the league. Jokic is going to put 30, 10, and 10 on him. It doesn't matter. So why pay the best center, right? It's about finding the matchups against these other teams, right?
It's fair.
So,
all right. All right. So now that we have this kind of set,
I also want to mention the Kings at 1. Vibes, first off.
Yeah, Beam team.
They're still riding high.
Yeah.
I think De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Domantas Sabonis, I think they're young. I think they're ready to run. I think they're just going to absolutely cruise the regular season.
I think Keegan Murray is also a very huge factor. I don't think he's going to win Most Improved, but he easily could. He was so good at shooting the ball last year, and I think if they give him a little more on-ball responsibility, he could be very, very good. Right away, year 2.
He was post up at Iowa, so
yeah. Right. And so I think you put the ball in his hands a little more than you were before, like in those positions where he can kind of make those decisions. I think he could totally be a game changer for them. And again, just another offseason general consistency across the board for the Kings. I like it. I had them a little lower. I think I like
the Suns and the Lakers are going to coast.
Except they're not. The Lakers, I think, realized you kind of need to be home. So I think they're fighting for some inkling of home court advantage. I also, again, I mentioned it before, the Kyrie trade is going to happen at some point. And he's going to show up for the Lakers and play with LeBron is what's going to happen. Everyone's going to be like vibes, and the Lakers are going to be good.
I don't see it coming. I
do. I think the Mavericks are going to. I think the Mavericks are going to crash and burn this season, and it's going to be awful. I think it's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be public. Like Mark Cuban's not going to handle this well. I think it's going to be horrible. Like I actually think it's going to be one of the worst divorces in the NBA that we've seen.
This is amazing.
That's what I think. I think it's going to be terrible.
I will say,
I think it's happening. Like, think about it. If they go 2-8 to start the year, which I don't know what their schedule looks like, and now I have to pull it up because I'm curious. Like, it's going to start early. It's going to start really early. Let's see. Let's pop open the schedule. Is it hard? Oh, it's not that hard. At San Antonio, Brooklyn, Memphis, Chicago, Denver, Charlotte, Orlando. It's not a hard early schedule. So
they're going to be like 500.
Even then, I don't know. I just think they're not going to win a lot of games. So I'm out. And I think it's going to blow up and it's going to be very ugly. Anyway, while we're talking about this, let's go into who do we think is going to win, or who do we think is getting to the Eastern Conference Finals? And is it just as obvious as Celtics Bucks and we just need to stop talking about it?
I think Celtics Bucks.
Isn't it that? I think one of them is going to have like a weird derailing issue, and I think it's more likely to be the Celtics. So I actually don't know that the Celtics are getting back. I think Marcus Smart was a huge part of their identity. And if Porzingis goes down, I think they're in trouble.
But we can all agree Milwaukee Bucks.
No, I think it's Bucks Celtics. I think I don't know. I'm a little
You never know with the Heat.
Yeah.
You never know with the Hawks. Trae Young has his like battle in the garden moment again.
Or the Celtics are great. Maybe the Cavs figure something else out and they're more complete than they were last year. I don't think it's the Knicks disrupting anything, but you never know.
I still think the Cavs struggle defensively.
All right.
Clearly those two. And the Donovan uncertainty towards the end of the season, it's just all gonna.
So the East is obvious just because it really is the two of them on top, and then maybe they get like, I don't know, banged up in just the first 2 rounds or something, depending on matchups, and it's tough. Maybe they don't make it through. But I do think realistically, barring that, they're getting there. The West, clearly, since we all just had different top 4s, there is no way of knowing who's making this Western Conference final.
The regular season doesn't matter at this point. I agree with what Luke said. And the reason why Sacramento is going to be so high in the regular season to me is because the top 4, I'll extend that to the top 6 in the West, are just coasting.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But I do think Denver is a lock.
I don't. Luke, what do you think? You got to break the tie here.
I think Denver's a lock too.
All right, so put Denver in. I think, based on our conversation, that they are not. I don't know. I think it's hard to have 2 back-to-back postseasons runs like that, and
I don't think they're going to win a championship.
Yeah,
but I do think they're going to make it far.
Okay, all right, fine. I'm overruled there. So then, who do we have as our other Western Conference team? Because I was in my head, I was going to say it was going to be Lakers Suns. Those were the 2 I was going to pick.
I have Nuggets Suns.
Okay, so we have at least 2 for the Suns. Michael, what do you have?
I have Nuggets Lakers.
Yeah. So we have 2
Lakers, 2 Suns.
We don't even have a way to break this tie.
I make a case for the Lakers over the Suns.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers have more depth. That's obvious. They're bigger.
Yeah.
And the X factor is Anthony Davis, obviously. So
right.
I think if they go in full strength with a decent seed and they had an easier first round matchup, then I think and I think they're a really good defensive team. So you really just have to worry about maybe containing 2 of the 3 Suns trio. And
I think there's clear mismatch. If they ever were to play each other in the playoffs, which given our seeding here, they wouldn't play each other until the Western Conference Finals if they made it. Like, the way they match up is so interesting because you have Anthony Davis, who would probably dominate among all of the big men in that series. Nurkic just isn't reliable. He's injury prone and just slow now and not himself. And so he's going to dominate down low. LeBron and KD are both like older now and play a lot differently than they did 5 years ago when they were meeting in the playoffs and everything. And so it really boils down to Beal and Booker versus whoever the hell is going to be up top for the Lakers and whatever defensive schemes they're coming at. So I like that edge for Phoenix, but I really like to Michael's point, the size edge for the Lakers. But I still think the Suns just have too much firepower.
I don't think
unless they trade for Kyrie. The Kyrie trade is the variable here that if that were to happen and he's playing with them, then I think the Lakers are better.
Because they can match the scoring. Shootout.
Right. And then I think they can match the scoring, and the Lakers still have enough defense with some of their other players that I think it would be okay. And they're still going to be deeper because for another disrupt, if Kyrie demands another trade and does weird crap, like no one else is going to shell out anything for him because he has that longer contract. The only team that would is the Lakers. And they're going to say, here's D'Angelo Russell and you're going to like it. And they're going to be good and deep with him. So
yeah, my thinking is, who are the Lakers playing up front against Beal and Booker? Reeves and D'Lo?
Yeah, but
and it doesn't matter who's back, defending the rim.
I would start
Anthony
Gabe
Davis
Vincent in that series then for the defense.
Even too small to guard either of those guys, right? Like Beal and kind of, I think, like you said it, right? Like you just got to let one of them have their game and shut down the other 2. And I could see the Lakers matching up well against Kevin Durant. They have Jared Vanderbilt. They have Rui. They have LeBron. They can all take turns guarding Kevin Durant. They can all make an impact on some level. But
to that point, though, Vanderbilt was guarding Steph when they played the Warriors. So
yeah,
they're versatile.
I just don't know. I really think Beal and Booker absolutely shred the Lakers to their core.
All right.
It's over with.
All right. So then let's put the Suns there because Luke, you and I both had them, and I'm now being reinforced by the Suns conversation. Let's do Nuggets Suns with like the asterisk of the Kyrie trade, because if that happens, then I definitely think the Lakers. Our finals are gonna be. Well, you guys picked the Celtics to win the East. Do you believe that? Because I still think it's the Bucks. They don't. Oh my god, fine. We'll do
Mike,
Boston.
what are you smiling about?
We'll do Boston.
I'm bummed that it's Boston. I want to be Giannis. Giannis needs this for the legacy.
Luke, you think it's Boston?
I think it's Boston.
Do we all agree that whoever of those two teams that comes out is winning the finals?
No.
No?
I think Denver's repeating.
No.
Yeah. I think they're
disagree.
bad. I think that Jamal Murray, Caldwell Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jokic.
It's a great five.
Is going to be the best playoff five.
Yeah. I mean, and they have the consistency going for them. And they just won a championship with that.
And then when the lineups tightened to around 7 people, Christian Brown and I don't 7 people.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson.
DeAndre Jordan. But no, I get it. I do think I like the way Denver matches up. I do particularly like the way Denver matches up against the Suns, so I think they would beat the Suns head to head. I would put Denver in the finals, but I think whoever wins the East is winning everything.
We'll put Denver in there then.
Okay.
No, well, who do you guys think between Denver and Phoenix? I don't want to.
Denver. I think Denver.
I have Phoenix in the finals.
Yeah.
Phoenix, you said.
If it was Phoenix against the Lakers, then I would go with the Suns. But no, the Nuggets match up way better.
And you guys are sleeping on just the fact that the Nuggets are still the Nuggets.
So I like the Nuggets here. I just think whoever wins the East is winning. So I'm going Denver in the finals and Boston winning. So I don't know who you guys have winning.
Denver. But I understand that it's going to be Boston from you two.
Luke, who do you have?
I have the Suns winning.
Okay, so then out of these two that we have here, who do you have winning? If it was this finals, who would you pick?
I'd pick the Nuggets to repeat.
All right, so we got to put the Nuggets as the winner then.
Two Nuggets to win. I feel like no one's happy with this.
I get it. So I'm not like angry. I just think the two at the top of the East are so strong, and then like between buyouts or like little trades at the margins to fill in depth, they're gonna get better. They just are, and they're gonna be really good.
I think the Nuggets. I think we're joking about Reggie Jackson being the 7th guy on the Nuggets. I think they're more quality than that. I think they have a lot of guys 7 through 11 or 12 that can really play quality minutes. So by the time they get to the playoffs, they're going to know exactly who to play and when to play them. Mm-hmm. And if you think about matchups like Nuggets versus Celtics, I think listening to Nuggets starting 5, Porter Jr., Gordon, Caldwell Pope, Murray, Jokic. Jokic is going to absolutely kill Porzingis.
Right.
I don't think Tatum's going to be a huge factor if you have Aaron Gordon on him. Michael Porter Jr. is big enough to get in the way, force Jaylen Brown left, things like that. So.
They have such different styles that it would be an interesting series. I think that's the one cool thing about a lot of these teams. They're structured so differently. So it's definitely a lot of fun. Let's now, because it is getting late and it's becoming my bedtime. Let's rattle through these. In our next episode, we can talk more about them and elaborate on the first week of the season and everything. Let's go through here. Let's each pick who we think the MVP is. Let's do some individual awards here.
Who wants to go?
Who wants to start?
I think Celtics have a great year. A lot of media in Boston. Someone's going to get a lot of votes. Jason Tatum MVP.
Okay, Luke is going Tatum. Michael?
He's going to average like 28, 8, and 4.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a toss-up. People don't want to give it to Jokic. Embiid just won it. Giannis, they don't want to give to him. LeBron's old. Mavericks suck.
I think it's going to be for the same reason you're saying. I think the Dame Giannis pairing is going to attract a lot of attention, and Giannis is going to have the easiest ability to score the basketball that he's ever had. I think it's Giannis. Michael?
I'm confused. I don't want to spoil my defensive player of the year, but I have Giannis there.
So you can't pick him for MVP?
I was thinking Jokic, but you guys with the title hangover stuff have me thinking that Jokic isn't going to be motivated to be the MVP. Screw it. I think it's going to be Jokic.
Okay. All right, let's go rookie of the year.
Unanimous.
Wemby. Chet, maybe Chet, but no, it would take Victor getting hurt.
How do you spell it?
Wembanyama, Banyama. I love that this is going to be on the internet. Luke struggling to spell Wembanyama. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Nice copy and paste action.
Is it unanimous? Are we all agreeing?
It is unanimous. There's no way it's not him. It's kind of like how last year I think we all picked Paolo. All right, let's move on. Defensive player.
I think I might have picked Jaden Ivey last year. No bias.
So, Michael, you went Giannis defensive player of the year. Luke, who do you have?
I couldn't think of one. I couldn't decide. I don't know.
I have one. It's a little, again, it's one of those like contingencies. Anthony Davis. I think he's going to play a lot more this season than he has in the past. And if he does, he's definitely in that category.
I had him as my runner-up.
I'm going to put Giannis down.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to ask a lot more from him now. Without Drew there on the perimeter, Giannis is really going to have to overcompensate. All right. Most improved. A weird award. Who do you guys have? Or do you want me to start?
You start.
I know I said it before, and I picked him on my fantasy team. I'm between Cade Cunningham and Tyrese Maxey are my two. Cade obviously coming back from injury. I think he could be an all-star because last year he was putting up great numbers before he got hurt. But again, we don't know what he's going to look like. He was great for the select team for Team USA in those practices, apparently. Apparently, in those scrimmages, people in the room were saying he should be on the team and not on the B team, basically. So I think Cade edges out Maxey. But again, if Harden gets traded, same way we were just talking about how Giannis is going to shoulder a load, Maxey's going to have to. So I think it's going to be one of the two of them.
So I had Cade, but as we're looking at this, can the most improved player be on the 13 seed in the East? Like, I feel like the most improved player needs to show that the team also kind of improved, and I don't know how much they've moved from our picks last year.
No, it's very fair.
This is in real time, so I actually don't really have an answer right now. And then also is Mikal Bridges considered already?
He's the odds-on favorite. So yeah, which makes sense.
But as society and the media already decided that he's improved. Like,
no, because I think he has to do it for a full season. He did it for like 20 games, if that.
I have Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, like I get why everyone's saying him.
You want to throw one out there real quick, Mike?
I'll go Bridges.
Reeves is actually second in odds, coincidentally.
Yeah, but
I don't like it. But yeah. All right. 6th man of the year. Again, this is just hard to predict because I don't know who's going to be on the bench.
I have Malik Monk. I had the Kings being good.
Interesting.
I think he's going to average a lot of points.
I mean, I have quickly, just because assuming we don't trade him, he's going to be coming off the bench for the Knicks. And he was so close to winning last year. Now we don't really know what's going on with Brogdon. He's not going to be in as great of a situation to win it. I think Quickly is the only consistent one who's now, even if he plays just as well as last year and doesn't get any better, I think it's him.
I have Quickly as well.
Yeah. All right. Coach of the year, I have, and this is based on the ability to kind of surprise me. I have Mark Dagnall. Let's give me some Thunder love. I think that team's going to be really good this year, and he's going to, like, it was one of those ones, I know we have them at 9. They could surprise all of us and not be in the play-in altogether and, like, actually be a legitimate playoff team. Michael? Thinking. Luke, while he's thinking, what do you got?
I also heard Mark Dagnall.
Nice.
I think the Thunder are going to be good.
Yeah.
Last year I went with Taylor Jenkins. I was like, he should have won it when Monty Williams won it, and Monty Williams should have won it when whoever the person before him won it.
Right.
I'm over that.
Am I? Could the coach of the year be the coach of the Bucks potentially?
Yeah. What the hell's his name? Adrian Griffin. Yes, it could be him.
That's what I'm putting.
All right.
I could see that.
Yeah,
Storylines.
I like it. Okay, scoring champ. Who do we got? This one we can just rattle off. I think it's pretty easy.
I had Luka.
That was who I was going to say, but I'm going to change it up just for fun. Dame. Similar to how Giannis is going to have all the shots he wants, Dame is going to be so open.
Wow.
Yeah. Luke, breaking the tie here. Jordan Poole, good God.
Wild card.
Because that field goal percentage is going to be trash, but he's going to be chucking.
38% from the field, 6 threes a game.
All right. So who do we have getting the first pick in the draft, or at least having the worst record, I guess, kind of. First pick, I guess, is random. But, I mean, I think the Hornets are the worst team in the NBA. So I'm going to put the Hornets for the first pick and the worst record because they're just trash.
Oh, no.
I think I have to agree.
Nice. Welcome.
It's tough between them and Portland for me.
Not for me. I think they're definitely the worst. Luke, who do you have having the first pick and the worst record?
I have the Charlotte Hornets with the first pick.
Nice.
But I think the Portland Trailblazers are going to have the worst record.
All right. You're giving the lottery odds a little change there. All right. So on the flip side, let's end on a positive note. Who do we think has the best record in the NBA?
Boston. I think the combination of Boston being really, really good and the East not being as insane as the West, I think that Boston's going to have the best record in the NBA.
I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have the best record in the NBA. But that's also why I was on that side of things. Luke, let's see. I love that
the Boston Celtics.
I love that you put the Milwaukee Buckets in there.
Oh.
Because that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be getting buckets. And they're going to have the best record in the league.
I think it's funny that Luke subconsciously did that.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Buckets. Luke, you're even 3 hours behind us. You have no excuse. Although I guess it's dinner time. Luke's just thinking about food.
I am. I'm very hungry. I've got a delicious goat cheese sandwich waiting for me.
I will say, Matthew, you can conclude, but this already looks a little bit more well thought out than the last one.
I thought last year coming out of it, we did so well, but obviously not. This season's going to go to shit so fast, just like the Mavericks season. I'm so out on the Mavericks, which also stinks because we do need them to win. As a Knicks fan, we need them to win some games so that way we get the pick. Otherwise, it conveys to 2 seconds, which would be
they cheated last year.
Well, yeah, but they got fined, which doesn't help the Knicks, which is a shame. But yeah, I think they're trash. I'm glad that's how I'm ending. Just absolutely dominating the Dallas Mavericks.
It's a good way to end.
It is a good way to end. Is there anything else we need to hit on before we log off and I go to bed?
No.
Awesome. All right. Well, if that's it, fellas, I'm glad we're back. I'm glad the NBA season is back. To all of our listeners, thank you for joining in again. We are the Hoop Troop Podcast, and join us next time for everything NBA.
Before we stop recording, what's more embarrassing? Me not being able to spell Wembanyama or me trying to get the borders right?
I think that's going to be the poll. All right. See you, listeners.